Hey, it's Craig from TC Helicon. Wanted to talk to you today about our firmware update for the VoiceLive Touch. We've been taking requests on the forums on Voice Council, which I'll put right here. And we've also been taking requests from the Share an Idea that you can submit ideas to developers about what you'd like to see in the devices. And we've talked to a whole bunch of users along the way about things that they feel that they really wanted in the device. And so we've spent a good month or so of our developer time pulling our hair out, trying to make sure that we get all this code launched into this thing for you so that you can have some cool updates. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is that we've made the factory reset a little bit easier to deal with. It used to be a 3-button setup. You'd have to push 3 buttons as it was loading up to try and get things going. We were then reduced it to 2 buttons, and that was still causing people a bit of a problem. So what we've done is we've made it a toggle between the octave and low buttons here. And what you do is as you plug it in, you wait for the version number to pop up. So I'll do that here. So I'm just going to power it up. And then we go version number, and we just go octave low, back and forth, tip, tip, tap, 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 like that. And it will go to an init stage like this. And that lets you know that you're doing a factory initialization. When you do put the new firmware onto your device, you want to back up your presets, of course, we always recommend that. And then you may want to do a factory initialization after you've put the firmware in there, just to make sure that everything's been reset properly. So let's talk about the new features themselves. One of the big things that people have asked for a couple of years really is delay feedback control to be part of what you can change about the delay style. So we've done that for you. Awesome. Press and hold delay to get in there. And then as you go through what you are selecting, you can select styles, all that kind of stuff. It's all the same thing, but we've added in, where is it here? Feedback. So what we've got is we've had to break it out in order to make things work for us, into feedback left and feedback right, which allows you to change the amount of feedback on the left side and the right side. Now, if you want the delay taps to be equal and just bounce away, set those two numbers equal, 30%, 40%, that kind of thing. If you want to create kind of a different effect where maybe the decay trail goes further on one side or lasts longer on one side than the other, then you would set those to different numbers and have them unequal. So that's really cool. It allows you to really take any of these delay styles that we've got and really tailor them to your song so that things aren't going on for too long or too short based on the style of the music that you're playing. So that was a really cool one that we put in there. Next one that we put in was we put in reverb decay. So similar to the delay feedback, obviously we wanted to give you guys control over how long the reverbs went. Sometimes you want the sound of a big cavernous reverb, but you just don't want it to go on for very long. So we thought that would really help as well. So we go in past the style here and we get decay, and it basically gives you control in seconds down to, once you get under 1 second, then it goes into 10 milliseconds at a time that you can remove from 1,000 milliseconds all the way down. So that's really neat, gives you extra control over the reverb. People have been talking also about how when you record a loop, sometimes you find that the loop is too loud in relation to your voice, and you'd really like to kind of sneak that loop down underneath your lead vocal level so that you can then sing over it and not have the whole thing overpower what you're doing. So in the mix screen here, go across a few. Where is it? There we go. We got loop volume. So what this does is it allows you to basically take the loop volume from full volume, 0 dB, and move it down. What happens is the looper always records your loop at the volume that your mic is inputting. So we want to make sure that we're not attenuating the signal before it goes into the effects. We make sure it goes into the effects at full level, gets recorded at full level, and then gets turned down. So what will happen to you when you're using the loop level control here is that you'll hear the loop formed at full volume, and then it will, as the loop comes around, it will then turn the volume down. And that was a bit of a compromise on our side to make sure that we didn't make the volume of the loop too low so that you wouldn't be feeding things like transducer, any kind of effect where you got distortions and that kind of thing. We really need a lot of good solid level to make those effects work properly. So we wanted to make sure that we gave you something that would allow you to then turn it down after the fact. You will hear your current loop being recorded at full volume, and then it will drop down to the loop volume that you've set. It's a really cool way of just being able to record your loop, especially stuff like beatbox. You might want to be, overdriving the heck out of it so that you get that big distorted beatbox sound, but you don't necessarily want that to stay at that volume because you wouldn't be able to sing over it. So you could do that kind of thing, turn it right down afterwards. It's really cool. Let me put this down here. All right, there we go. One of the other things that we've added to the device here is some settings for your Switch 3. People have said that we didn't give a certain couple of combinations of Switch 3 that people really dug. What we did is we added one that has harmony, favorite up, favorite down. And what that does is allows the user to cycle through your favorites. And the cool thing we did with that is that instead of it going favorites 1 through 5 in bank, whatever bank you're in, A to E, we made it increment the bank as well. So essentially you can start at bank A, favorite 1, and go favorite 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you keep pressing favorite up, it'll go to bank B, favorite 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and vice versa. You can loop the other way as well and go back. So what this essentially does is gives you access to all 25 of the presets via the Switch 3. Now, in line with having that new preset, folks had also asked for momentary control over the harmonies. And so what we've done is we've given a setup option. Let me grab my thing again here. We'll go into setup real quick. So we go into setup here and go through. You have to go through several of them. It's kind of near the end here because we had to add at the end. Where are we? All right, so we have one called Harm Button Mode, and what that does is allows you to toggle between momentary, which means that the harmonies are only happening when the button is pushed down. When you release it, the harmonies will come off. Or you can do latch, which is the way that it currently works, which is a toggle. So you push the button once to turn it on, push the buttons again to turn it off. That's a global setting, so any of the Switch 3 styles for the buttons, any harmony that's as a part of one of those would then become latched or momentary. So you can switch the type of control that you have on it, but it would always allow you to, whichever harmonies you have, you can have them set up the way you like. Kind of part of a bug fix and also a bit of a sort of bonus for people is we had an error where every time you reset the unit, our auxiliary input level would reset to -20. So we fixed that so that if you set it to -30 or -10 or whatever else works for you, and you power cycle the unit, it will properly recall that. It will also properly recall the guitar level as well, because that was something that was resetting on power cycle. And of course, you don't want to necessarily have to do that every single time you power up the box. And as a part of that, we've also made the input jacks for the auxiliary and for the guitar auto-sensing, which means that when you unplug your guitar or you unplug your auxiliary input, it will mute those input jacks. And there's been some reports of people getting a bit of hiss through their PA because those jacks were live when there was nothing plugged into it. So we thought we'd help you out there, give you a little bit of a control over how you could make it happen. And the last thing is that we've put bank control for program changes via MIDI onto the same channel. We used to separate it out so that the MIDI CCs were on one channel, and that included bank changes, but we felt that it made more sense to put program changes and the control over which bank you're actually in, especially because you're going to use lots of bank change with the Voice Live Touch. So we put them on the same channel so you no longer have to try and send between two different channels. You can keep all of your CCs on one channel, and then you can have the bank change and the program changes on another. So there you go. That is an overview of everything that we've added. There is also a list of the bugs that we fixed, but those are kind of a little bit less fancy, so we'll put that on the page that we do for the blog post for this. But that hopefully gives you an overview of what we've added to it, and you can go out there and have a ton more fun doing a lot more things with your Voice Live Touch.